Oh, here's a couple. I'll just say this. It's real 60-degree, actually, this is a 10-degree valve. So we put it on, and then I'm gonna sell two. Right. But it becomes basically when it's good. It comes on to the college. And you- He'd be like my son, he goes about $1,500 like that, and I'll say $15,000.
Yeah.
So it's too late.
Not here.
Thank everybody for coming. This is the City of Shelbyville Mayor and City Council Special Call Study Session, Tuesday, January the 28th, 2025. It's about a minute after 12, and we're here at the council chambers, Building Codes Planning Department, 100 North County Boulevard. I'm calling this meeting to order, and the second item on there, besides calling it to order, would be the public comments. Do we have any, Lisa?
I do not have anyone signed up, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all right. Then the next item is the item we're here for, discussion of a change to the zoning ordinance related to the transfer stations. And who is first up to tell us about that?
Me?
Well, come on, Tom.
Well, okay. And Buck instructed me to cut straight to the meat and avoid some of the beginning part of it, which discusses what is municipal solid waste. So the reason for this text amendment is because we have our municipal code, which regulates municipal transfer station. And for municipal transfer stations, they may be located wherever the city desires. And we don't have any regulations that's related to private transfer stations. And whenever there's no regulations in our zoning ordinance, then basically it becomes unregulated, and at times it becomes problematic. So what I've proposed is, and from the initial, when we first heard earlier in January, there were a couple of comments that I have incorporated into this slide presentation. It's not updated in the in your packages and in the actual ordinance yet, only to allow for more comments on this. So the text amendment includes 3 sections, which is the definitions, which is the most important, so that we actually can apply the law to its specific purpose. Then the table of uses, appendix 1, and then supplementary regulations. And as you see in the red there, that municipal or any type of transfer stations are regulated by TDEC.
Okay.
And EPA has their standards, which is run down through there. So in the proposed amendments, you'll see the definitions that are currently not in our code. And so, as you can see, the definitions, they play the 2 roles. They apply for the clarity of what we're actually trying to regulate, and then as well as the application of the regulations. And so all of these definitions are related to just municipal solid waste, which has nothing to do with medical waste, nothing to do with industrial hazardous waste. So the proposed amendments, in addition to adding the definitions, in the table of uses, there is no section that is related to transfer station. And the difference in this slide, I did add the MSW, which is the municipal solid waste, and place this in the intermediate impact facilities, which allows for higher standards that you'll see under the supplementary regulations. And this is only permitted in the I2 and I3 zoning districts. Oh, yep. Oh, that was my little. So in the citing criteria, you'll see, those are two, just I2 and I3 zoning districts. I2 and I3 are larger lot areas, and they also allow for greater setback requirements depending on some of the adverse impacts like noises and smell, typical of industrial applications. In our design standards, we also have additional regulations that are required for any type of use, whether it's in commercial, industrial, multifamily. So in our design standards, you'll see the buffering, screening, and lighting that impacts this type of use. This is really the meat of, and the most important part is the supplementary regulations. And as you can see, some of the items that were discussed or that was brought up about proximity to residential uses, I added additional language in there that prevents locating in near residential zones, and then also distances from schools, churches, parks, and other types of residential uses, because there's other types of residential uses besides houses, like accessory dwellings. So that's how that was added. But all of these requirements are straight from TDEC standards. And there's additional ones I placed in there to make it even stricter so that you don't see them coming into multiple locations or clustering together nearby each other. The other items, and all the items that are added in red, I'll just say that that's a difference from the original slide. So you'll see that there's traffic impact study that's required for peak permitted capacity. Also, avoid traveling, putting a general comment in there about avoiding going through neighborhoods as well. So all these regulations help to make it even stricter whenever an application is being reviewed. And then under the red 1 and 2 for the solid waste storing, those are just mirroring what the original TDEC permit is. But in order to control not having multiple partially loaded trucks, because sometimes, you just want to be efficient and you want to load up one truck and send that off to the final destination. But you don't need multiple loaded trucks to basically create that storage. Currently, we have the one site that there's a proposal for a transfer station. And I will add that when I look back, I want to say back to 2007, and the site was being used in a similar situation. There were containers on that site. And so it's not, this particular site is not a stretch from what its intention is now, or what they're asking for, or what the city's asking for as well. Let's see. Oh, and what I wanted to point out was the actual where the city's current burn pit and their transfer station is. And the transfer station to the west is actually 250 feet from residential uses. So this one's being used as a model, so it's 750 feet. It's greater than 700, or actually it says it up there, 817 feet to the high school. 758 feet from residential uses. And then these are the areas where currently there are I2 zoning districts. All of them, the one on the slide to the bottom left, that is that's owned by Lumen Fiber right now. So that's in the southwest part of town. The only I3 zone that this may be used in is occupied by Duxon at the moment. So that's the only I3 zoning district that we actually have. Remaining I2 is in this location that you see on the right-hand side in that area. And this just shows some of the proximity. Got a quarry used, the asphalt plant, or I think it's an abandoned asphalt plant now. But it's all industrial type uses, so it fits in within that area. And that's all I had for the slides, so I kept it short and. Based on Buck's, advising me on that. And then I'll entertain any questions, and, we've got Buck and Will, and, maybe a few other people here that can answer
Tom.
questions.
All your wording mentioned municipal solid waste on everything you added there. What's either our current regulation or where will we sit as far as construction and demolition waste?
Well, I can actually go to my first slide then.
Yeah.
So municipal solid waste also includes, construction and demolition.
Okay, so it's all under.
It does. It falls within it. So, in essence, municipal solid waste is a general category that's defined by the industry as, any household, trash, businesses and institution industries. But, construction and demolition falls within that category. And, it's usually separated out, but it's typically falls within the same category.
I'd just like to make a comment because we're really dealing with two separate issues here today. Number one is the consideration of changing the zoning language. And I would like to recommend all them questions go to our planning and zoning director. Any solid waste questions, we have our public works director here that could probably be better suited to answer about solid waste and disposal issues.
My question is, have they looked at a county location for this? The county is gonna use this transfer station also. And to keep the trucks off of the street in Shelbyville, to keep them off the streets in Shelbyville, and I know we have a transfer station close to that right now. But have they even looked at, because Mr. Richardson could probably build on a county piece of property as well as he could a city, right?
Yes, but it's not, we spend a lot of time looking to, it's not only what the regulations, of course, for the local municipalities, but what TDEC's gonna require. We were just unable to find any property that checked all the boxes.
If you found the property, you could build the building on that property if it met the requirements, right? I'm just trying to keep concerned about the traffic in the city. The way we're growing, we've got enough cars, things like that. And have we looked at in the future, we know the county, we know the city will use this facility. We have heard about the facility, I guess, not holding anything overnight.
Yes.
And those kind of things like that. And it'll be trucked out to Esco Springs or Lewisburg or Huntsville, Alabama, or where?
You will leave here and go directly to Alabama.
Okay, all right. Okay. And you provide all the trucks, all those kind of things like that, and everything's cleaned up every night, so there's no odors and all those kind of things like that. Facility is probably gonna be $5 to $7 million, is what we're talking about? Okay. All right, do we think, besides the city and county, for you guys to make money, I know that, Mr. Ansel has a company of his own that probably would use it. Waste Management uses a different facility, don't they?
They have their own landfill, Lewisburg.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
They have their own transfer facilities in Nashville.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, we are recording this and live streaming it on Facebook. So if I can ask, if you're speaking, if you'll come to the podium and speak into the microphone, just to make sure that we're getting a good quality video for everyone watching. Thank you.
So, I think, Mr. Richardson, you and I talked after the last meeting, that most of these people are probably not gonna take their garbage trucks from Murfreesboro or Lewisburg or, Tullahoma or wherever and travel all this way. They would go to a transfer station that's closer to them or have one in there. Do most of them have a transfer station in there?
Well, so you got, Estill Springs, Fayetteville, there's another one in Manchester. That's
Okay.
kind of the three worth mentioning right here around us. And so every day, the decision that I make is just, first and foremost, liabilities and efficiency is really where I start at when I make my decisions on which one to go to. You want to go to the one closest to you most of the time, just because it gets you onto another job and reduces your liability. Just, every day you don't want to put a truck on the road any more than you have to, just because of liability in it. But then there's a certain, the math of it right there. You cannot put too many more miles underneath a load, and make it work. It's just not, it doesn't make sense money wise to take it any further, because then you got more cost allocated to that job.
You're in a 20 to 30 mile radius from where you want to go.
Now, these facilities, transfer stations in Estill Springs and Manchester, what you just said, are they privately owned or are they publicly owned?
So the Fayetteville and Estill fall under the interlocal solid waste.
Okay.
And, the one in Manchester is, Capital
Waste.
Service owns it. So
Okay, so interlocal, we're talking about the county and the city are having to get together and haul that off after it's go to the transfer station as compacted, is that right?
yes.
No, so the county and the cities bring it to Estill and Fayetteville,
Okay,
and then we haul it out of Estill and
Okay.
Fayetteville to the
so
landfill.
they got a contract with you guys to haul?
Yes, sir,
Will and they-
starting in April. Now, the one in Manchester is privately owned facility.
Questions, city council?
Well, we're looking at still at a deadline. It's April 1st, is that correct? To get this.
That's
situated.
when the new contract takes effect, April 1st.
Our old contract ends.
Ends on April 1st.
Well,
I think, I don't know if I need the mic or not, but I think, the last time that I was here, I told you that we were still working on the contract to continue to haul to Lewisburg because we were pushing up on that date. That did get approved, and I think KU sent that out, handed it out to you. So we have one more year at a higher rate than what we were paying to take it to Lewisburg. So date, we were concerned about the date before we had a contract. Okay, so I don't want you to really take that into account now, because before the contract, I was nervous. Now we have a contract. Really, bottom line, it's gonna save us more money when they do start operating, but we have a place to take our trash.
And that's an extra $15 and change or so.
Per ton, yes, from what we were paying, I think that's what it worked out. So it goes up to 50/20, and I think we were 35.97. So, yeah,
and that's just for 1 year, right, Bob?
that's just for 1 year. And if we want to get out of that contract, we have to give 6 months' notice to do it. So when they get built and we can see where they're gonna be able to start taking it, in order to save money for the citizens, then we would be making that move.
Okay, and there's no ceiling or no lock on price on that one?
For
It's
1
just
year.
1 year and that's it?
That's it. I guarantee you you'll probably see the increase by the same percentage of what this one is.
And Mr. Richardson, with your group, we're looking at how long locked in?
For 10 years,
10 years.
yes, sir. And they, with a guaranteed only 2% increase each year. So,
Yeah,
For
2
10
5-year
years or during
options.
the 10 years?
so during the 10 years, the way, and this contract just mirrors the ISWA, that's what we have locked in with these guys.
Right.
And so it's a 2% increase each year, which as far as, it's probably, CPI will outrace that more than likely. So it's a minimum increase, but you can, it's set in stone, so you can go ahead, you can plan for it.
But we would be safe as far as if the landfill started charging you more and those kind of things like that. The city and the county, if we locked into this, we would not have to absorb any of those other than 2%.
That's correct.
Okay. And I'm looking at the
And our
numbers and it looks like the numbers are, Right now, at Lewisburg, $300,000, and the annual cost to go with you folks for the first year is $425, but we would have a savings, that's $125,000 different, but we would have a savings based on not using our truck and attendance and all those kind of things. Kay has put together some things for us. We would save $160,000 the first year. Does that sound about right, Buck?
I'll let Kay go over those numbers. She came up with those, so I don't want to get in the middle of that.
Okay.
That 300,000 to 425 that's if we keep going to Lewisburg ourselves.
Right.
That 425 didn't have anything to do with the
Oh,
transfer
it doesn't,
station.
okay.
That's just if you took the same number of tons to Lewisburg. That was just showing what the
That's what their
3597,
their increased price.
right, and we
Right.
would still have our transportation costs, personnel and all that.
Okay, didn't have Lewisburg on mine, so I didn't know, okay. All right, what are we looking at for the first year, Buck or Kay, with going with these folks? You got a number?
I got something if you don't.
I don't.
So how much is per ton with you folks?
5886.
That would eliminate our cost of trucking and gas and
Yes.
personnel.
And that's a set rate with the 2% increase for the next 10 years, and then 2 5-year options on top of it with the ISWA. That's the ISWA agreement. Which is a benefit to the city because you wouldn't get that kind of rate if you were just using your tonnage. The benefit of y'all being members of the ISWA, you get to group all the towns that's members of the ISWA, their tonnage, which gets you a better rate than the landfills. While you're a member.
And it would be up to Buck, but I don't know if all that personnel would go away.
Right.
Yeah,
Would we,
Right.
that would be whatever.
absorb that into another?
It would still, they would still be within the city. They would still,
That's where
you know, we're still gonna take care of the public. If our transfer stays open, it won't have our garbage trucks. Our garbage trucks will be going straight to them. But the public, if they wanted to still bring their trash up there, we would make that available, to that. We might do some moving around, but that's, you know, logistics afterwards, but I don't see eliminating those positions because we have areas where we need them. So,
Close to that.
yeah, 500,898.
That if we did the same number of tons at the 5886, is right at 501,000.
I can tell you, you know, with the next lowest bidder, that came in for the ISWA, you know, the first year we have a savings of 97,000. At the end of 10 years, it would have been 1.3 million. So it's a very good contract that we have with them, and to be able to control, the pricing as far as the 2%. Republic had a 4% increase every year. So as far as what the contract that was done through the ISWA, which city is a member of, is a great contract. And these prices here that you see right now, if you add in my trucking costs and everything else to Lewisburg, is more than what the 5886 of what their price would be. It's about $61. So we have a place to take it. It's gonna cost us a little bit more than if we were taking it to them.
Okay, thank you, Buck.
If we leave our transfer station open and we're using theirs for our trucks, when we actually get a full trailer at our transfer station, how will you dispose of that trailer? Where will you take that trailer?
I'll take it right there to their transfer.
You'll just empty a full semi-load at there.
Yeah, and, you know, I anticipate maybe 2 days, maybe 3 with the volume that we get. You know, the largest volume that goes in our trucks is from our garbage trucks. So depending on if everybody wants to do spring cleaning and bring everything up, that's, and I've already talked with them about if our truck can get in there and everything else and be able to dump. It's not gonna be an everyday thing, I don't foresee.
With fire questions, if you have questions.
Ask Mark this question, I'll ask you again, Buck, too, just in case I get a different answer. Our truck from our transfer station, is it possible to dump it at Estill Springs?
Well, these are the guys that are gonna be running it, almost impossible, and with way Estill is, and I think the management and everything's gonna get better there, but, what was the average, 2 hour wait time?
You can get 2 hours real easy.
Yeah, so does not make a whole lot of sense I wouldn't be able to get all my loads in a day because of the wait times, and I don't even
Well,
think that I could.
not your trash trucks, but a trailer from our.
That's what I'm talking
transfer station.
about.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
as far as getting that, that's not really what delivers up there.
right.
So it would be, they would have to make special arrangements in order to make sure that my truck could get in there, turn around, back in, and yeah, that's not gonna happen.
So, Buck, if we didn't go with this for some reason, after 1 year, we're looking at having to go to Estes, we would be looking to having to go to Estes Springs.
Yeah, we would have to redo all of our trucking to make sure that we had trucks that we did take over there, were able to dump over there.
But that would be the next place.
That would be Estill, yes, and I would prefer not Estill, but that would be Estill, or we'd have to look at something different. I mean, to stay within the ISWA, it's here, Estill, or Fayetteville.
Well, and I understand that Murfreesboro is building a transfer station, the city of Murfreesboro,
Two.
but they're gonna own the city.
Yes, sir.
Correct.
So the county's building one and the city's building one. The
Are they-
city's is in town
It is in
on
the
Butler
city,
Drive, Shelby Jackson,
so it's in the city limits.
across from where they're building the Buc-ee's.
Okay.
And then the one in the county is being built out adjacent. It's on the old county landfill, which is adjacent to the Middle Point landfill now.
So what is our reason for building one? In other words, just building one for the city and then having one built for the county too? Why is Murfreesboro doing that? 'Cause
Murfreesboro,
the size of them.
the growth, I mean, there's so much tonnage coming out of Murfreesboro, one can't handle it. I mean, one over there would do more than our whole city and county
Together. Okay.
daily.
And I know you guys just went through the process of getting your, what's it called, permit or
Permit, yes,
license,
yes, sir.
what is the official? But, so the city has one. My thoughts are, we would be, even if we go with you guys, which is, we would be wise to keep our,
Yes, sir, because you probably would never get it permitted again.
just even for our
type of
city
facilities
use
you
or
have.
whatever, we'd be
Yes.
wise to keep ours. In the future, if something goes,
Yes, sir.
something could happen, you know, even you have a you own yours down in
Yes,
Alabama,
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir. Our partners own the landfill.
The landfill, so, you know, in the event, you know, that could be full in 10 years, then we're all looking at a new game.
The landfills around here are on the end of their lifespans. Our landfill is 40 years out.
Oh, so, okay, so you're not looking, okay.
So we're not looking at something that's,
So within 10 years, you're not gonna be
No,
saying,
sir.
hey, our landfill's full.
that's-
No, sir. And Buck or Mark, either one would have access to, that was all in the proposal that we provided to the ISWA with the engineers and with, all the layout, with the projected life of the landfill.
Look, what's the increase in tonnage just roughly from the last 4 or 5 years or something? You've been here about 5 years or 6, 7, something like that.
You know,
Is the tonnage, I mean, with the growth that we've got,
the crazy thing, you know, in doing all these numbers
Yeah.
and peeling them apart, every residential place that we have in town is 1 ton a year. So we have over 8,000 that we pick up every month.
you know,
So, yeah, so every new house, if you just kind of, and it's simple math, I ain't gonna, you know, I ain't taking it to the 4th place, but if you figure every house that comes in here, that's an extra ton that is going to be added to our system that we have to pick up a year. So I thought that was pretty neat when it's right in front of your face and it was like, oh my gosh, here you go. That's a good way to do it.
Growth is affecting every community. And along with that goes trash. And then it's gotta go somewhere.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, and we know we're growing. We got all kinds of developments in front of us right now. And Buck trying to get those picked up, I knew we're around 8,000 right now that you're picking up already. And of course, that means extra garbage trucks and everything else when you start picking all these others up.
And transfer stations, they prevent you from having landfills. Because it's a junction point to go to the end destination.
And we don't have to put a big truck on the road to haul it. I like that part of it, for the safety and all.
And where if you were having to drive your individual trucks to Estes Springs or Fayetteville to dump, that's gonna run your budget through the roof because you're not able to use the trailers to get in there like you currently do to the landfill.
And Mark's gonna pay the city of Shelbyville how much to dump his trash there.
We'll let you do that on wrestling.
You know, y'all's rates are both the ISWA rate, which is the benefit of y'all being members of the ISWA.
I see you. And if we had to build another one later on, we could go out into the county as we grow.
And we've looked all over the county. There's a lot of boxes you have to check to be able to get a permit.
Okay.
And, one being an industrial area. And there's not that out in the county. Where in a lot of other cities, you have where they took and built industrial areas out in the county part and then grew up around it. But, you know, that fit that need, but from what we could find here presently, no.
And Cedar King is industrial anyway.
Yes, sir. We're between the scrap yard and the rock quarries.
Now, what have you been doing right there already, Mr. Richardson? I saw your trucks back there when I went and looked at all the property and stuff. Right now or in the years past, have y'all been hauling waste?
That's where we park our trucks and we park our empty cans. We haul waste, but there's not any transferring or anything like that going on at that facility. They go to Estill, they go to Fayetteville, they go to Manchester, they go to Lewisburg to the landfill.
We do a little, a fair amount of recycling there.
Okay.
So, if anything's getting emptied out right there, it's, we have a cardboard route that we run, collect, and, but that would be the only thing that we would currently be emptying out, and of course, we just empty it, bail it, so, yeah, just a pretty good chore getting that.
And, Cedar King Properties local transfer, we bought Richardson's and our other partner, Jake Jacobs out of Murfreesboro. We've all had family-owned companies. Jacobs Company's been in business for 30 years. The Richardson Group has been in business for 62 years.
Okay.
And we bought DSC, which was a company, Bedford County company. We bought it last year and it had been in business for 36 years at that location.
Okay. Okay.
So we've done a lot of housekeeping, cleanup, everything over there since we have taken over.
I have a question. The biggest downside that I see to this is the additional truck traffic that will be going there. And we're gonna pick up all the county by doing this because the county's gonna be involved. We'll get all of their, and a lot of theirs goes straight to Lewisburg because the one on Lewisburg Highway, the one out 82. So how much more road, you know, I know it's gotta be an increase. Have you looked at how much you think will increase our expenses on?
Well, what we, because right now we're trying to build the regulation for this, okay? This still gives us opportunity, and I think with our pre-planning and everything else, there's requirements where they have to show us what they think that the truck route is gonna be. We have to agree upon that truck route. There's opportunities that we can take over there to alleviate, the trucks driving through town. I think that was part of what Tom had in one of his deals. So this part of it is approve the regulation. The next part of it is us making them follow the regulation.
Good.
So that's where I know that there was some, they're required to do a traffic impact study. They're required to show us what their queuing is gonna be. We don't want trucks backed up on the road. We had to do it at, the 500 ton, that's what their permit was for. We asked for other options if there was a private road put in that came off railroad, which is a more, a bigger truck route road, to where we could kind of keep that traffic coming around the bypass and coming down railroad that way. So we've looked at, a lot of different things, and we've made those comments to them in a pre-planning setting and, response. I think you guys have seen all that. So all that, I don't think that they want to put more, trucks in a residential area because,
That's the reason we're keeping it private. Because if we open to the general public, you cannot control what comes in or how many vehicles are coming in daily. It'll be a revolving door. So if it's just the city and county and our own trucks, which are all parked over there now, then we can control that.
Okay, and we'll keep our transfer station up.
yes, that would be my suggestion. I think that, if we want to talk about it at a different time and what we want to plan on for the future, I think we do that, but I think we keep it separate from this because that's the one that we own and, we have a lot more say in that.
And the way I heard a while ago that you would take a full truck from our transfer station over to them and they would do the hauling to wherever it needed to go, compacting and hauling. Is that correct?
That is correct. That's what our plan would be is we have, all the trucks and all the trailers that we have right now are paid for.
Uh-huh.
So to do anything other than that with them, I think would be, ridiculous. Let's keep them doing the same things that they were doing.
Okay.
Some of the things that we can repurpose, but yeah, it would be the same operation that's going on at our transfer right now. Nobody would know, except they'd get through quicker because our garbage trucks wouldn't hold them up.
Okay. All right, thank you, thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
We have a rendering of what our building will look like just for y'all to see.
Okay. Okay, when you wash the floors out at night and clean it out, where does that go? Does that go into a?
Drainage that goes into a septic, which then feeds into the sewer.
And it's Shelby Power, Water and Sewer
Yes.
involved in all of
Yes,
that? Okay.
I'm gonna hear from the people over in Ward 3, is that correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'll-
the
I'll
smell.
stand.
What contain the smell, what kind of smell, I mean, that's what are your hours gonna be? Are you gonna have trucks in and out of there?
Come
Yeah.
stand up there.
No, of course, we'll be mindful, operating hours over there
Can we
when
do
we're
that?
open. You can probably look at like 7 to 4, so 7 a.m., 4 p.m. Now my guys start up, they go a lot earlier, but like opening the gates would be 7 to 4. The smell, I would invite any of them to, if they got time, just run by one. And I think the analogy I used last time, if you took your trash from your kitchen, put it in your trash can, took it to the end of the road every day, I come by, emptied your can, brought it back. I would argue that your can's not gonna smell. It's just when it sets, and that's when the odor comes into play. So ours, when it hits the ground, it's gonna go into a trailer. That trailer's gonna be pulled out and it's gone. So it's just not gonna stay, it's not gonna stay long enough to, and that's per permit, we have to keep the floor clean every
That'll
day.
happen at the end of the shift, before you shut the doors.
Yeah, that's right. And,
See any
I
trash.
know the traffic's a concern, but you're just looking at, the only increase in traffic is gonna be, right now, Bubs is maybe a mile or two from where we're at. My trucks are already coming in.
Fire hazard, anything like
I
that
think-
right there,
I
that's a
think the
big
study
problem.
show a minimum.
Passing the clock here in a minute.
It's just the whole thing is keep them off Horse Mountain Road.
Yeah.
That's the thing, but Horse Mountain, we don't want it to come out.
Got tunnels, trailers.
Yep. I understand the noise. We'll have dedicated drivers. It's not like we're catching like a broker load where it's the first time you ever come. So those guys will know throughout the state. Be doing it every day.
Come down. Everything comes to be shut off.
I need to make that
Where trucks and trailers going inside the building and unloaded, and when they pull out.
So how long will it take to build this?
We're hopeful 2-3 months.
We're gonna do the building right here.
Go back in the
We're
building.
about to get right.
You-
Okay.
Back here. The two 50-foot doors
Got it.
are.
So this would, or could be in operation April first.
Depends on how quick all this goes here. But I promise you, as soon as we get the green light, it's gonna go. So,
Soon as,
I-
soon as we are able to start, we'll move pretty quick.
yes, ma'am.
Scott and I just talked, and I have asked that, our folks, our, department heads, and I see our fire chief, Mr. Doak standing back there. You gentlemen can have a seat if you'd like to. We would like to have their personal opinion or concerns about moving forward with this, if you can share it with the council. I'd like for Will to give his feelings on it. Buck, I'd like to have your feelings on it. Matt, I'd like to have your feelings on it. Tom, I'd like to have your opinion and feelings on it. Concerns, pros and cons, whatever. Let us know, let the council kind of know at that point, okay? Matt?
I just think from the public safety standpoint, I know we're talking about, there's a concern about traffic, rightfully so. But putting this with direct access to SIA route, am I speaking correctly, like a collector road, you're gonna decrease the traffic that we have on Blue Ribbon Parkway and Barksdale and these more residential areas into an area that is primarily there for big truck traffic. I mean, most of our trucking industry, steel industry, everything is right there. So I think public safety wise, that'll actually decrease on our secondary streets. And with a SIA route, sometimes that's TDOT helps maintain that, correct?
They, no, not necessarily maintain, but they overbuild it to a standard to handle whatever's gonna be going through.
So I think it would be a positive, and like Mr. William, we were talking about, except for, this is just me guessing, but except for the two southernmost, like 82 and 64, the county's trash is already coming through town to get to Lewisburg. So I don't think, I think it'll actually decrease residential area traffic. And then another thing that I think is a positive, because we've had several calls up there in the past, is our transfer station that's 240 feet from a residential area
Right.
is gonna be a whole lot better smelling now if it's over here in a
Right.
place that's actually zoned for it because of the way we've grown up. And we got industry right up to the back door of it now.
Okay.
So I was just throwing out there, I think it'll actually be safer.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right, can we have, Will's opinion? Will is our city engineer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll stick to engineering as best I can, and primarily the traffic concerns. And so that's something that we had a concern on as far as at the staff level. And we have requested as a part of their site plan that has come before the pre-planning committee. We have a host of review comments that we've gotten back to the applicant through that process, and one of which is provide a traffic study, as Buck has referenced to, so we can evaluate the anticipated impacts, not only that are in the immediate vicinity, but also the routes of both incoming trucks and outgoing trucks. And so that responsibility has been placed on the applicant through the site plan process, and we would anticipate seeing those impacts at the planning commission level and reviewing those at the planning commission level if that site plan proceeds. Stormwater, we would work with Brian Dickey and his group on stormwater requirements and making sure, like any other entity that is constructing in the city of Shelbyville, they'll have to comply with all the stormwater regulations, both from a quality standpoint as well as a quantity standpoint. And that, again, scrutiny would occur at the site plan level, just like any other commercial or industrial development that comes before the city for consideration. So,
Okay.
those are my two primary areas, I guess, of engineering that there's anything else, I'd be glad to.
Question for Will? Thank you, Will. Okay. Brian, I didn't mention you in here. Is Brian in here? Yeah. Do you need to say anything about this?
No, I think Will said it perfectly. It's, you know, they have to follow in all the requirements from the state, from our local ordinances, and I think it would be, yeah, it'd be all right.
Okay. Tom, would you speak, and we'll let you get Buck to speak last.
Sure.
Sure. Now, you know,
I'll interject real quick. So just to kind of, the tools that I was just talking about from a stormwater and traffic standpoint, transportation standpoint, what's being proposed to you that's actually up for consideration currently gives the staff the tools to require those constraints and those proofs, if you will, from applicants.
Good.
So that's something that I think we don't need. The broader discussion of the city's solid waste handling is certainly something that needs to occur, and how and what that looks like for the next 10, 20, 50 years. But the specificity of what's in front of you for consideration is to provide the tools to the staff to apply these additional regulations that aren't currently in place, so that we can make sure that if a transfer station goes in at this location or any other location in the city, that the tools are given to staff, planning commission, and city council to make sure that those developments occur in a manner in which you agree to and are comfortable with. So that's, just wanted to say that.
Thank you, sir. The reason I wanted to do this, because these folks, we're gonna make this decision, the council's gonna make this decision based on some of their recommendations and what they know. That's the area they work in. So, Tom?
well, you know, my job is to manage concerns, and actually I had a slide that pointed to what Will said, but you know, everybody wanted to cut it out. But yes, so the opportunities for council, for the city to manage these, any type of growth is done through the zoning ordinance. And, you know, and I tend to lean a little bit more on the stricter sides when it comes to regulations. And I believe in having more specificity in the codes, because of, we've ran into a lot of issues when it's generalized. And so in this code, I did place even more requirements, but they're typical with this type of use, which has a lot of restrictions on it. So it's not one of the type of businesses. It's not a coffee shop, which I've been accused of creating coffee shops. It's not a type of use that is predominant. It's a very restrictive use. So you won't see a lot of them other than maybe you know, if it's even if it's a larger facility like Waste Management or Allied or any of those, typically transfer station by their definition are a collection point that serves that particular community. Just like right now, you know, you only see a couple of them over in Murfreesboro for their size. So these regulations, I think when you read through it, they are very, they're very strict.
And we appreciate you updating those and taking care of us on that. And if we're looking at 10 years down the road, we're looking at taking care of Shelbyville for 10 years.
Yes, sir.
And we want the best that we can get, and the best decision today that will affect that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Tom. What?
I'm not sure if I'm taking the blame or the credit for having him remove slides, but I'm prepared for each. You know, our main job, working for the city and everything else, is do the best for our residents. I think that's why we've gotten in the ISWA to get the best prices that we possibly can. This just happened to work out. The people who got the contract wants to build one here. With the money that we're going to save for the residents, to be able to work on more roads, to have back in the general fund, from my responsibility, I think it's a no-brainer. Now, the tools like Will was saying, the tools that you guys needed, Tom did a great job of going through and putting those tools in there. If, and I think Tom will probably tell you this, or he had a slide for it, if you want more tools in there, I think this is the time that we put those in. Get it to the point to where you guys are comfortable, to where you can vote for it. I think that we tried to cover every question that was asked and add those things in there with traffic and all the other things to kind of alleviate the concerns so you guys can feel good about whatever judgment you make. I think this transfer, because of what we got going on with the ISWA and everything, I think it's a very good thing. And I do want to just take a moment and say, thank you. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for digging into this. This is fantastic. You know, these decisions aren't made lightly. And, you know, we try to give you the best possible advice that we can. And when you guys ask questions, we love it. We love it from one director. I think every director would say the same thing. When you hold us to account to come up here with the facts and everything else, this is how it's supposed to work.
Right.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Y'all have any questions for Bob? Good job, gentlemen.
Got a couple general questions. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go, let her rip, Henry. Overall, because I go back in the garbage business for a long time, when did they switch from cubic yards to tonnage on garbage collect fees? We used to pay by the cubic yard, not the ton, which makes more sense to me. When we had a landfill closer to home, it fills up quicker based on cubic yards. Tons are kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, our trailers are compact trailers, okay? So if you just had an empty box out there that you put trash in and you charge it by the cubic yard, we're paying way more than what we would by the cubic ton. So because we can compact it and everything else, the cubic ton would be the way that you would charge for it. Up at the burn pit, we charge per cubic yard because the things that people bring in, we have no way to compact that, no scales, no anything. So that's where the cubic yard part comes in. I would never want to do cubic yard because every material is different. Weight is more consistent to what you're getting.
I remember when they built the transfer station to begin with, one of the advantages was because our trucks, when we collect the garbage, does somewhat of a compaction in the truck. And then when we put it in that big trailer, it's compacted again so that we were taking advantage of the cubic yard system because we were being able to compact the yard.
Less trips, yeah.
Yes. So that's when I said, when did we go to a ton basis? I hadn't been paying attention to that.
No, and I think the city didn't get into that too much because we don't charge for our trash service. So when people come up there to dump their trash at the transfer, it's free. It's still free, whether we pick it up on the side of the road or not. We have a transfer that is in operation. When you come up there to the residents, it's free. Now, if you're a business or something like that are coming out, then you get the $8.50 per cubic yard. That price, I think, was established 20 years ago.
So from operation of our existing transfer station, help clarify what you said earlier. Seems like to me, we can eliminate our big expensive trailers and tractor because our residential garbage trucks are now going to go to this facility and back up and dump. And we don't really need that big expensive tractor trailer compactor, really, do we?
If, let's say we started our transfer today and we had these options, I would say we wouldn't get one. But because that we have them and that they are paid for, and I believe all of them have been probably, what am I looking for? Depreciated out,
Right.
you know, so I don't really know what we gain too much. I think that's something, some of these things can be repurposed, but the trailers, probably not gonna be. But to continue service as normal for our residents, it would be.
For now, yeah, we've got an advantage of using them for the next couple of years and not having to do any new expenses.
Correct.
But 5 and 10 years from now, when we're pretty much away from them, we don't need to be replacing them. Is that what
Absolutely. We have a low boy. We'll always keep the tractors around to be able to haul some of our other stuff. But I think, once we go through this and we see how the system's gonna work, Scott always yells at me, but, the nuts and bolts of it, I like to see it work and make a decision after that of what we can do. I don't think that, I think there will come a time to where we may want to liquidate some things, but that time ain't now.
good? That's what I was hoping. There could be more savings in the future.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, my last question. Fees. Is there a way that, since this is all located inside the city, we're gonna have road maintenance? It's obvious it needs to be here for our sewer and other amenities that the city has. Is there a way that the city can charge a fee at some point for any garbage that comes in from outside our community? Is there something in the regulations that prohibits us from that?
So, just so I'm clear, with them having, let's say, a 30-yard dumpster in another county, is that what you're saying? To where, as long as or out in the county, is there a fee that we can charge the county for coming? I think if it has to do with the county, I don't think we can, because we're ISWA members, both of us. If it come from any of our other participating ones, I don't think that you could, but I'm not.
I was thinking more of once we establish that we can put these facilities in an I-2 zone. If somebody don't want to use any company names, wants to come in here and build one, they don't really have to come back to this council at some point. But is there a way that we can or cannot establish a fee if we need to offset community concerns, the maintenance of those trucks are usually overloaded a lot of times.
Yeah, and I think with Tom's slide that he showed of the available I-2s that are out there, I think a lot of your control is gonna be, there's not many I-2s out there. And the ones that are out there will not meet the criteria that this I-2 meets. So that is why the rules that are in place in there, that is where we came up with those rules. Because one of the questions that was brought up at a council meeting or study session is, hey, we don't want a bunch of transfers. So what do? So we gave the option of the tool that we can use to limit the number of transfers that may want to come in here. Tom, is there any of these I-2s right now? Well, there's probably, I think is that the Penn place out there in West Jackson? That's the biggest piece of land that, nobody knows it's back there unless you drive back there. So,
that's an environmentally sensitive area, so, at least part of it, right on the river. I don't know about the fees, but I could certainly find out.
I was just thinking while you're adding in your regulations.
Yes, sir.
Way to put a paragraph in there that allows that.
Certainly.
It changes as we go through the 10 years. Mr. Richardson, if you, for some reason, your company wanted to change something and somebody wanted to bring something into Shelbyville to our transfer station or something like that, will we have any kind of control or voice in that, the county and the city, to say, nah, we don't really want that, or yes, we do, or once we sign a contract with you, you're in total control, we can't do anything?
So I guess we kind of be at you guys' mercy on that, so whatever you need to, I'm sorry. Let me back up. We could discuss on, if you wanted some protection added in there for that, I think that we would be, open to whatever we need to do. Like I said, our intentions are, county, city, and then our own stuff is there. So we would have no bump about looking at whatever. And to kind of answer your question, there's not uncommon to have a host fee. So if that was something where we wanted to look at an outside coming in, of course, it would have to be not tied to the ISWA. There's things in their contract where, and it's good for you guys too. It had to be like theirs is set, their rate's set. But if you had something outside of ISWA, a host fee,
And when we make a 10-year contract, we just want to make sure that, you know, things are going to change. We don't have everything in front of us to say, we'll know everything that's going to happen in 10 years. We don't know that.
Yes, sir.
So we got to protect the people of Shelbyville. That's the reason I'm asking, if changes come along,
Yes.
will we have a voice in that? Will the county have a voice in that to say, no, we don't want to make that change? Those kind of things.
And with the ISWA, anything that's in the ISWA footprint,
Right.
like if something, Lincoln County goes to Estill Springs, it's the ISWA rate. That's one thing that has to be.
Okay.
But of course, we want to stay on good terms and so however, we need to do that. If we need to run it by, we want to make sure that, it's a mutually beneficial relationship here. In my experience, that's the only way you get any longevity to it. And we want this thing to be for the 10 years and then hopefully pick up 2 5s after that. So it needs to be good for you guys as well as it does for us. And so whatever we need to do to kind of, address some concerns, we're all in.
Now, you've been in this business a while and you've got
Yes.
how many transfers, Nathan? Do you have any?
No, sir. So I was a part of the one that was in, Manchester.
Okay.
And then, I have a processing permit in Lincoln County where we do a lot of, kind of the recycling stuff on it.
Okay.
And, but as far as just being in and out and, of course, been using them and been able to, I think that gives me a kind of a unique perspective where my trucks have been sitting in that line to get in there and to know what's good for a hauler, which I think Buck's guys and Mark's will, benefit from that, versus being on the ownership side of things too.
Yeah.
So,
And so you have to have special licensing, special insurance and all kinds of different things, right?
yeah, oh, yes, sir, heavily regulated.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Questions?
One more from Mr. Richardson, not to get off on a rabbit trail, but I was talking to Mark about it. He said you guys are also in the recycling business. Could we partner with you and help get some recycling service within the city limits? Because we
Yeah.
currently don't have that, and that's something I've heard a lot of requests for.
Yes,
So-
sir. I'd love to sit down and talk about that. We staff and manage the recycling center for Lincoln County and Fayetteville City, currently. And, before that, it was something we were already doing before that. And then, of course, we have, that kind of portion of what we do here, as well. So I'd love to talk to you about it anytime.
Help with our tonnage with diversion and stuff, get stuff going to recycling instead of the landfills.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the county's doing, they just started back, I think,
Yeah,
recycling.
the county does theirs, we
Yeah.
just don't operate in the city right now.
If I may make a follow-up comment to that, Shelbyville, Fayetteville was running their own recycling center, had employees and stuff, and it was an absolute nightmare. And after month, I mean, literally, every other month, they requested more money for this machine broke down, all this stuff. So finally, we put it out to bid, and that's how I first met Landon. And they took over I keep on wanting to say Shelbyville. They took over the Fayetteville Lincoln County Recycling Center, and it was never an issue. And some of the slides and pictures you've seen of landfills, that's what it looked like. Before, you'd walk in and have to wade through a nightmare trying to get to a bin because of it. So I would highly follow up on a private deal if we could work that out.
Yeah, we're doing a lot for Mark right now on the county side, and it's been good for me, and I think it's been good for Mark. And one of the things I'm most proud of that, to this day, I know that the money thing, we've never asked the county or the city for one dime. We've been there for 4 years now, so. But yeah, and to the recycling, just let me know when's a good time. I'd love to talk to you about it.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Let me speak. I'm gonna step out there. I ain't said a word. I ain't like Tom. But anyway.
He's got a slide.
Let the camera point this way. I'm 100% with Buck. It's a no-brainer. I will never, all y'all talking about is traffic, and it's either gonna be traffic or money. Right? I will never vote for the money side. I'm not gonna vote for anything to raise property tax. And that's what's gonna have to happen eventually. If you don't like traffic, you need to get out of Shelby Bedford County levy, because it's here. It ain't gonna get no worse. It ain't gonna happen. You can send them every direction you wanna send them, and you're still gonna sit and wait in line. The traffic's here, and just like the mayor said, planning commission, their subdivisions, it ain't gonna get no less. So traffic's the only concern we've got. We don't have a concern. Or I'm concerned, that's me, and put it in paper, and that way you know where I'm at. I will not vote for any kind of property tax rate at all, period. If it comes down to traffic and money, I'm in for traffic. Period. That's me, put it in paper.
You're kind of vague on how you tell.
Yeah. Be around the bush. I don't think it, we don't have any.
Any other opinions or statements from any other city council members? Thank you,
I'm not
Bob.
sure where we're at this point though, because there is a kind of a zoning is something that we're looking at. It's already the I-2. What's the difference?
What this is a text amendment, or it's a change to our zoning ordinance as a proposal. In order to define this type of use and clarify what this use is, and to place it into a specific zone, which is the I-2 or I-3. So that's what's on the, what's in your, agenda item is, allowing for this type of change to define. And then provide the standards for it.
It's just about zoning. This is all about zoning.
And there's recycling, this particular code also allows for recycling.
One recommendation, and I haven't read through all the text, because I know you've made changes, but we talked about it earlier, but I just want to make sure that in our definitions, that when we're talking municipal solid waste, we're including construction and demolition. Because TDEC regulations are very separate for those on this particular permit. Construction demolition had a lot more leeway as far as overnight storage and not having to be inside.
Sure.
So if we're going to regulate them the same, we need to make sure we say that clearly
Understood.
in the verbiage.
We're lucky we elected a lawyer to sit right here, you know? He just don't have one hit in front of his name.
Anyone else? Statement, opinion? Okay, good discussion. We've got all that information out there. It's not over with. I mean, we can still ask questions later on, but as far as this meeting goes, I don't have any reason not to adjourn it, do you?
Yeah.
All right.
Do they have to vote to accept?
No.
Oh, I got you.
But a straw poll to put it on the agenda.
Next on the agenda.
Yeah. Yeah. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. All right. We're adjourned. Thank you, folks.